Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Flying with Mike. We're doing a little special pod tonight. Little flight, nothing major in distance or anything like this. A lot of this is an ongoing issue I've been having with Felis's 747, and it's a little bit of help for them to help troubleshoot. I'm going to run a nice short hop here from St. Louis Lambert over to Kansas City, basically between the two major entities that were TWA about 20 years ago. The maintenance hub was over in Kansas City, and this was headquarters. So, and I'll be honest, I don't think the 747, other than major maintenance, went that way. So, there you have it, folks. The Felis 747-200 Bravo Classic. Highly recommended, folks. I'm having some auto throttle issues. Was chatting earlier with one of the team members, and he asked that I do a short flight. Well, I am one that goes, the famous adage, a picture is worth a thousand words. So that's what we're going to give them. And being a short hop, it shouldn't be that hard. Of course, I'm stumbling right now because I forgot a command. There it is. Okay. Uh, and if you are interested, folks, this is a really good bird. Um, Supposedly, with this latest release that came out a week or so ago that somehow I missed, and maybe a couple prior to it, the issue that I've been having, and I think a couple of others, was remedied. Well, we flew the flight, as you all saw a couple days ago. Actually, I think it was yesterday. We had to do a go around again because it just wouldn't trip and the throttles didn't come down. So in the past, we turned the auto throttles off and the airplane wouldn't throttle up when I told it to throttle up. So, yeah, six and a half one, half a dozen other. And we ended up landing short, kind of like a 777 in the UK a few months ago. Maybe it was a year or two ago. But anyway, that's because of something totally unrelated. Nothing to do with auto throttles, more to do with ice and that. All right, so let's get up in the cockpit. As promised, this is a short haul. We'll have Sim Toolkit up here in a second so we can do a quick pre-brief. And I actually did a test flight with a different airplane yesterday. I got a different route. This is kind of fun. You got it. Well, and again, it's all about what just happened here in the Midwest. We'll get into that here in a second. So, but hang on just a second as I move us up into the cockpit. And I would be remiss, folks. Like I said, this is a classic. By that, this was made came on board in the early 70s. And at that time, most aircraft ran with a three-man crew. I say that because the oddballs in the group US, at least, 737 DC-9s, they ran with two. So, which would be the precursor to the 747 when they decided to drop the guy we're about to show you. All right. So again, this is Felis 747-200. The link is in the chat room. Classic aircraft like your 727 DC-8s. I believe, and you all can please correct me, the A300 three-man crews, along with the DC-10, and go through them all back then. So what was a three-man crew that you are going to be doing all of their positions to fly this plane? Okay, on my left, that would have been the captain. Right would have been the first officer co-pilot. But the guy that did a lot of the work is the guy that sat here, the flight engineer. He managed everything on the plane except for navigation and flying the plane. He made sure it was flyable, but the two up front did the flying, did the navigation. He did about everything else. So, and that's something it's great to see. Hey, even the Concorde folks had this, a third man. Uh, so let's do it some justice here and see what we can do. I'm going to bring up Sim Toolkit. As these pilots and flight engineer would be in part of it, here is the pre-brief. So we're going to brief this quick flight. Huh, didn't connect. I wonder why. Okay. So like I said, yesterday I flew this with a different airplane and we kind of went the northern route. Today we're going to go the southern route. Now, I kind of mentioned this in kind of passing. What happened overnight here in the Midwest? Yesterday, that would be Tuesday, we were in the mid 80s, some humidity, not a whole bunch, but we did have some. It was summer here, folks. Let's just call it what it was. At 5 o'clock, we were still close to 80 degrees. By 5 a.m. in the morning, we were down in the 20s. 12 hours later. The winds were howling. We even went from severe thunderstorm watches. I don't know if any actually went to warnings in St. Louis where I am. But you can see the aftermath out here on the coast. To snow coming in. So that gives you a reason. Up north, we were doing pretty good with the winds. Now with these winds, I guess the best path is the southern route, I guess. So that's what we're going to do. Just wanted to get that little aside in there. All right, let's see if the weather ever started working, and it has not. So I wonder if the link that Sim Toolkit uses is down at the moment. All right, so for the loadout, 330 people, 331 actually to be exact, will be on board. We're going to have 4,100 pounds of cargo. So the payload for today is 76,900 pounds. We'll see if we can get it pretty close to that. If we do, then that'll put our zero fuel weight at 463,600 pounds. Throw in about, we're going to block out of here with 58,000 pounds of fuel. So we're going to sit on the ramp at 522,000 pounds. Folks, that's actually light. Oh, it should be. We're only going hop, skip, and a jump across the state of Missouri. So very simple. You can see the route, Lindy 8 to Vichy, direct KRAZO, Tiger 7 arrival. Currently planning 19 left, but I may shoot over to the right side. We'll see how things line up when we get there. So I'd show you the weather, but there is no weather on here. So from here, now I was going to fly POSCON. I've decided not to because I just want to get the plane in the air. I don't want to be testing POSCON on top of trying to show the Felis group what the heck this thing's doing to me and what am I doing wrong. So it's all up. I'm pretty sure this one's all about me, folks. This will give them, and they look at what they've seen in streams we've done. They say it looks right, but they're trying to piece it all together. So bear with me. We could very well do another go around on landing in Kansas City just because things didn't completely turn off so that the reverse thrust, auto brakes, and spoilers all get to going and working. That's the overarching problem I'm having. All right. And forgive my voice, it's kind of here and there. So, but again, this is the flight. I hope you all enjoy. And let's get to work here. All right. So we are powered up with the ground generator. As you can see here, the yellow lights, and we are green here. I have gone ahead and got our galley power set up so the attendants in back can start getting things ready. We're going to pick it up from there. I've turned the trim air on, the humidifier on, the recirculating valves on, and just kick the gas burner on. All right, let me zoom in here. I'm going to get our altimeter real quick since it's being a little stubborn for us. Ooh, what the heck is that? Oh, that's interesting. Let's see if that clears up here. Huh. All right, so let's get up here, do a quick, just put it in KSTL and KMCI. All right, and what that's just doing here, folks, is, oh, wait a minute, to make sure I cleared it. Oh, since we have it up, we'll just do it here. Let's bring up Sky Vector. We'll change the map here in a second. We'll just do KSTL, KMCI. All right. And that's what it looks like on a sectional. We're going to drop, I believe Vichy's here, Rolla. Head over to here and then join the Tiger 7 arrival. All right, weather here in St. Louis. As you can see, if you can zoom in a little, 300 at 7 is the winds, 10 miles of visibility. We got a few pesky clouds at 25,000 feet. Temperatures 2, dew points -12. And that right there, folks, pretty much spelled the picture last night as to why that really severe weather they thought might hit here didn't. We really didn't get a big influx of moisture here in St. Louis. Anyway, our barometer, here's another interesting fact yesterday. We are up, get ready for this, yesterday, about an hour, about 5 o'clock, we'll just say it about 5. The barometric pressure here was 30.33. Let me say that again. 5 o'clock yesterday, Tuesday, 29.33. You guys go, whoopee, it's only 3. Whoa. 29.33 was the barometric pressure here in St. Louis. That is really low, folks. That's just how strong that low pressure system and all that came through here was. Call it 24 hours plus, give or take an hour or so. 30.36. We've gone from 29.33 24 hours ago to over 30.36. If that doesn't hurt people that have problems with weather and pressure, I really don't know what. So again, a massively impressive system now on the East Coast. All I can say is, wow. I mean, places here in St. Louis were getting snow. It laid snow out in the central part and over by Kansas City. Mind you, earlier that day, they were like we were in the 80s. So, just amazing. So, but anyway, what I was wanting to get was the barometric pressure of 30.36. And I like to set that now, even though it'll probably change, just so it's, started at least. And then we can make minute changes to it as we go. All right, that takes care of that. Let me push that aside so you can see what we did. Maybe, he says. There we go. All right, so we set this altimeter from 29.92 up to 30.36, as well as this one. I did not look at the flight. Hang on a sec. Of course, I hit the wrong button. Be flying with Mike if I did. They're wanting us to grab 32. We're not going to 32,000. I'm going to tell you that right now. We barely made it to 30 on my test flight yesterday. So, if anything, I'm going to set us to 28. So, for that, what I do for 28, I get 1,000 above. So in this case, we'll be at flight level 2. We'll pressurize the cabin to flight level 290, which is only 2.5 thousand or 2,500 feet in the cabin. And then we'll set it back to landing altitude as we come down. All right, so that gets the pressurization started. Now, if you want to go through all the steps, folks, there's a bunch of checks and stuff you can do here, all of which has nothing to do with the issue I was having. All right, so let's get this bird going. All right, so let's do some quick tests here. If it says test, folks, test it. Because when you start running the checks, you're going to find out real quick what you missed. All right, what we just did were the squibs, which fire off the fire extinguishers, and the actual, you can see the bottles lighting up there on the overhead. Okay, next to them is the cargo. See, that one's working good. Okay, so let me come up here. All right, so we did squibs. So over here's a test for the all equipment cooling and another test. Aft cargo, of course there's going to be a test. And then we did the fire check. Up here is your wing overheat, system 1, system 2, in case your de-ice overheats. We currently have the main door and the cargo doors open. All right, now when you push this button, it puts it into a test mode, so you can make sure the sensors on the brakes are working in case they get overheated. Okay, we'll do a lamp test. Just slide it over here. Okay, another test for the anti-skid system here, primary and alternate. And then push to read our potable rotor. Good. And then we're going to check our landing gear. Okay, green. Whoop, missed it. Sorry, green. Tilt. Good. Tilt. Good. Doors. We're good. All right. That's just about it. The only other test we have is this quantity check. Before I do that, I always turn on system 4 to charge up our brakes. Make sure we're set. Okay, quantities look good in the hydraulics. Okay, and our jettison panel. Okay. Now, the original 747s, folks, did not have these EFBs. Thank you, Felis, for being kind to us and giving them to us. They help a lot. You'll see here in a minute. Fuel gauge used resets. Our gauge check. Okay, there we go, and they're all good. All right, we'll do a quick pump check. It's going to go through, turn them all on. Okay, all the lights work. Just checking the cross feeds, making sure they go from dark blue to off. Doing this before we fuel. Last one. Now, these outer ones will stay full until we start our descent. Okay, finally, we end up here on the engine panel. We're basically checking everything, making sure they're reading 0. Most importantly, though, the oil quarts or oil in our systems are adequate and almost straight up and down is a good indication. And then we turn our panel lights up. We'll talk about the radio switch here in a minute, but let's do a quick light check here. And this is only the first officer's stand. And what we're looking for is that all the bulbs light up. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really know what to do in this bird if they don't. Um, in the 727, you'd actually be clicking every single one of these to find those ones that are dead. Looks like everything's good here. So I'll just turn it off. And we're going to proceed now up front. Actually, we're going to go up top. Okay, we're going to do a standard Boeing check here, coming down each one. Okay, so as we come down, everything's guarded, looks good. Auto brakes off, anti-skids on. So is the body gear steering set to arm. There's our T-handles and the agent to throw into it. Go to nav on each of our INS systems. Working our way down, everything is, I've already got it set. Wheel well fire detection, good. Voice recorder. Make sure the needle bumps twice, full right. Start valves closed. Ignition system normal, and we've got the emergency lights armed. All right, seatbelts are on, and we've got it set for the door to be open currently. We come down. The next one's pretty much like this one. We're just checking to make sure the ignition system's good. We're in nav and working our way down. Lights, we've got our navs on, logos on, everything else out. Final one. These two right here, when I get the plane initially powered up, I turn them both on. These are your radio master bus switches. Another little thing they will do is your artificial horizons will begin to spin up and get into where they're supposed to be, which is you're seeing the horizon. Very important switches here. Stall warning. Mach airspeed warning test. And anti-ice for the engines, anti-ice for the wings, and yes. Oop. Let's go up for the test. I turned them on, sorry. Okay, and the test is good. Likewise for the probe heaters, which is basically your pitot heat and AOA heaters, they all work good. Now, to test your window heat, turn the power on. It's this switch here. Switch these two. Well, first off, get the guard up. Simple. So you just click on it and then move these two switches up. You don't need the outer two. And then when you're done, put the guard down and move them all down. And then you can turn the power off because it really doesn't matter. Okay. And finally, another light test. Everything up here looks good. Now we can come down, check the middle panel. All the lights look good there. Move down to the console and center. Everything looks good here also. All right, so we can switch that off. Move down to where now, in real life, yes, the flight engineer, once he's done with his work, if the two aren't in place yet, he'll start doing the tests up here. But the pilot and the co-pilot will do the flight plan. Now, granted, usually it's an INS system. I'm not getting into why I don't use an INS. I have my own reasons. Part of it's time, but part of it's a problem I had many years ago, way before Felis. And I just don't want to go through it again. But hey, power to you all that uses. I applaud you. All right, so let's look here. Work it crossed and then across, catching everything you can. So first thing we want to do is get a ILS so we can do our check of the HSI and artificial horizon. Bear with me. Okay. So what we'll use for St. Louis is 30 right. It's close by and just makes it easy. All right, 30 right is 111.3. All right, with that set, I'm going to go ahead and punch it in over here. All right, so first off, we've got our lighting set as we want. Our radio INS switch, basically that's for you GA guys, that's the nav GPS switch. And there are other aircraft, but that's basically what that is. Then you have this switch here. This is where we're going to test the does it read. Okay, there's up and left, so we're looking for the glide slope up, needles to the left. Now, we're not going to get a down right. It's already down right all the way over to the right. Just kidding, folks. Couldn't pass that up. Man. All right, so down, right. But we did see a needle move here, and we saw the down indication. I am going to set up for... Well, that stinks. I thought it would show St. Louis. 17.4. That way we're checking it, we're not getting any feedback from over here when we do the test on this side. Okay, moving over, flight director. Needles moved in. Put it back to the off position. Auto throttle speed indicator off. Autopilot's off. Heading, we're going to be taking off on 29er. And that'll be a heading of 303. Go ahead and set that in here. And when we do the departure brief, you're going to kind of laugh, but it's pretty much straight out departure. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we got a hook down. Yesterday's was pretty much a straight out. Matter of fact, while I'm here, let me get that set up to Vichy. Our initial will be 229er. Okay. Then on to Vichy, 233. Okay, so we got our course off of St. Louis VOR to Claire. We'll get more into that. It'll make sense when you see it. 229 radial, and then the 233 radial into Vichy at Rolla. Runway heading is 303. And heading on our course selector, vertical speed 0. I think we're going to go a little higher than 6,000. Let's go on up to 5. Leave it there. And our off for our altitude hold selections is off. Hey, look, another, hang on, let's kind of slide over. And so we see the bars there for the flight director. And here we go with another up, left, down, right VOR check. Okay, saw the needles move, and we have an up indication on the glide slope. Okay, down right. Down right worked. Again, a radio nav. The neat thing about this plane, when you get going, if you wanted to, you could fly it VOR to VOR to VOR. Or using the INS, have one side set up on the INS, the other you could use for cross-fixing to see exactly where you are. It's kind of nice. You can't do that in some of them. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so like I said, we're going to go left to right. So from here, we're just going to work our way across. Get our altimeter set to 3036. Again, that's initial. First thing, though, I want to test this. See, I told you, see a test button, test it. However, it's best to do this way, because you see it sets it off over here. Good test. Get this one in a second. Okay, we got our altimeter set, which should be set over there now. We're going to do our push to test 1, push to test 2. Okay, all our lights came on. All our lights came on. All right, finally, a radar altimeter check. When we let up, you'll get a... You won't get it on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in a little. Okay. Zoom back out. Clear. Clear. Okay, altitude test. You all have heard this one. When you reach an altitude, or go below it or go above it, ground proximity, you've never heard that on here.
Pull up, glide slope, glide slope. Pull up, glide slope, glide slope.
Okay, you've never heard that on my stream. Oh, I am such a great pilot, that never goes off. Yeah, or at least once a flight. All right, now the rudder ratio is just an idiot light that comes on down here. There you see it, there you don't. All right, again, we're making sure all of these are lit. Gear lever down. Let's move on, and I'm actually going to pull out because we're going to be setting this off first. Okay, thing looks good and good. Now we'll zoom back in and finish up this side. Airspeed indicator. We'll get the bug set here in a minute, but here we go, and here we go. Good tests. Altimeter 3036. As promised, when you test, you do not get an audible. No audible. And again, outer, middle, and inner lights work. Okay, and everything else looks good. Swarm. That was Zebo today. Okay. All right, and that brings us back to this side, and really the only things we're going to be able to really do, fire up the CRTs for the radar. Folks, you're not firing the radar up to make the passengers staring at your plane going, am I going to really fly on that big plane? First off, yes, you are. And secondly, you're not babyless. They're only the CRTs warming up. Okay, across the middle, just checking everything. Guards are down. These are brake valves good. And over here, hydraulic pressure's up. And again, same thing. All right, let's get down here and finish this up. Okay, frequencies are set. Like I said, I was going to go on POSCON, but you know what? Not gonna now. Just going to stay off. We're going to fly it from point A, St. Louis, to point B, Kansas City, offline. So the radar is on, radar standby, so is the transponder. All right, so we're going to do some more stuff that the pilots would normally do. Let's get our route in. Okay, we don't have a company route, so we'll go to the next page. And KSTL, KMCI. And folks, if I'm going too fast, hey, let me give you a hint, or not a hint, but a place where you can go to watch what you miss. Over here at YouTube, we do have a channel, and that will, you can go through it back, forth, what you missed, you can zero in on. All right, so there you have it, K St. Louis, KMCI Kansas City. Today's flight is, I believe, 572. Teeny Weeny Airlines 572. Execute. Now, you normally would want to go to the next page, but we can't because I put the flight number in. So go to departures. Sorry, departure, arrival, departures. Today's flight 29 is our runway of not of choice of what they want us on, and Lindy. I actually like the Lindy. Vichy transition, execute. All right. While we're here, let's go back to the index and let's do the arrival. Here's where we got to make the call. 19 left or 19 right? You know what? I'm going to go with 19. What the heck? Left. Today's approach. We're doing 19. Hang on. We'll just do the ILS. All right. Bear with me a second. Slab is where the Tiger 7 ends up for us. That'll be perfect. We will do that. Oh, I did the wrong thing here. My bad. 19 left. What is it? Tobry. All right. Yeah, I'll show you all what I did here in a second. That put the ILS in. Perfect. All right. Now, we'll get into that in our departure arrival brief. We're going to do it all together because that's how this flight's going to transpire, folks. We hit top a climb and then we top drop. Okay, so we said 19 right. And a correction, cancel. 19 left. Why am I not seeing Tobre? Tobre. Tiger. I go to Springfield? No. Let's do that and see where it picks up at, because... All right, well, let's see where that goes with us. All right, so, been talking about it long enough. Quick check here of how it's going to play in. Glad I did. All right. All right, folks, so I brought charts in on you right out of the blue. Poof. All right. Let me back up the game here a little. There we go. All right, so here we are in St. Louis. We're going up here on the Lindbergh 6 to St. Louis, down to Clare, out to Vichy. Looks just like this, folks. Okay, so we want to make sure we go to St. Louis VOR, Clare, Vichy. Now we're going to probably turn beforehand so we can intercept the 229 radial. So, all right, so from there, Vichy, we're going to then go 97 miles over to KRAZO. Now this, I don't know if it's going to do. It did not. Okay. So we'll put it in there. It's KRAZ. then direct Tiger as you see. Again, looking at the chart just to make sure we're on the same pages. KRAZO to target to Tiger, 12,000 foot restriction, by the way. Okay, and then on to Trike, Moray, and Slab. Okay, then we're vectors. That something didn't take. All right, let's try this again. It didn't take. This is why you want to do this, folks. Let's try. Okay, ILS 19. Picking it up on Tabri. Okay, now let's see. Probably have, oh, KRAZO, Tiger. There we go. Again, that's why you want to do this check, folks. Again, this is a simple 250 mile gear basically gets up and gear is coming right out. It literally seems that quick. So, so now we'll do the check to make sure here. Howell, Malper, UYUCU, then oh wait, execute. Do it again. YUCU, then Zitsut, Fees, Zappa, Jazzy, and the runway. Cool. Then for the out of here, we go to intersect 080 off Kansas City out to Limes to hold. Looks good. Good flight plan. Okay, real quick, RNAV. I'm going to go to 28,000. Not on this page, but on the next. And I always click execute. And folks, we are done with the flight plan here. I'm going to put this one on full progress. And folks, we are ready to begin getting this plane boarded. That in itself can be fun. All right, so hang on. Let me get rid of charts here. If you don't mind, I'd like to reformat it here. That ought to be okay. And it's out of here. All right, this is probably the hardest thing. Do it a couple times is piece of cake, but it's that first time that makes it rough. This page right here. So when you go to the home page, you click load calculator. It is just that, folks, a calculator. So you come down here, you got some presets. I just click 75%. Using my SimBrief flight plan, we want 331 souls. Here's what 100% puts in 388. So we're going to have to build or get it closer. Just keep clicking it, it changes. I know there's one. Thought there was one that would take it. Okay, well, that's close enough. All right, so we need roughly 30 people. There we go. Now, if you look at the zero fuel weight here, we're not there yet, are we? 459, 463. We need 4,000 pounds. Usually I click 25%, Now we're at 489,000. I'm going to go with this. And you're going, but your flight plan says this. Correct. This is where, with this aircraft, you can deviate from this. Okay. You're going to go off of these numbers right here to set your fuel. Okay. That's right. You're going to calculate what's needed for fuel. Told you folks, we're 300 miles. Just down to 300. Okay. Now, our desired flight level, 280. Do we have a tailwind? 276 at 95. No, we actually have a headwind of 85 knots. Now, how do I know which way to go? Because you can go this way, you can go that way. You are paying attention to the total fuel. If I positive numbers here is a tailwind. So my number should go down, correct? We understanding tailwinds pushing us, headwind we're driving through. See? Now, let's head on up. I'm going to put it at 80, and our alternate is back to St. Louis. I wonder how many miles that is. Let me see. Bet you it's 291 miles back. So we'll set it to 300. Now, I like to go with a 20-minute taxi. We do have a long taxi here, by the way, and a contingency of 10%. So, from our 58,365 to be exact, we're now sitting at 64,905 pounds with a lot of extra cargo. How much, you ask? All right, here's your load sheet. How I did that, folks, right here under instant load. Okay, compartments have 30,000 pounds of cargo, passenger 72,800. That's how so you got basically an extra 30,000 pounds. So we're going to be pushing that extra 30,000 pounds into a 95 mile an hour headwind. Huh. Yeah. Hmm. Now you're looking at this going, why is the souls on board much higher? There's 16 crew members coming aboard to take care of this flight. So the total souls on board is 347. Unless you have lap kids, you can find that out if you do sim brief, drop down to the briefing. If you're in the American Airlines one, you can go all the way to the bottom. You'll see where it says lap in the description of how your plane's loaded. So we're going to block out of here with 65,000 pounds of fuel, basically. Okay. So breaking it down again, 331. There's our payload. Yes, 30,000 roughly heavier. Zero fuel, block fuel. Well, that doesn't make sense. Oh, block weight. My bad. With the fuel, takeoff weight burnt down to get to the taxiway or to the runway, and then what you're landing with. You got to stay under 630,000 pounds, folks. And your CGs. Okay, now I said this is just letting you know, you do this, this is the outcome. How do I make that the outcome? Refuel actually will load the aircraft. So click load sheet data, use it. So you're going to bring in 64,905 pounds of fuel. I just do it instantly. And it's in there. There's your fuel on board. Now, to get the people on board, you actually had the same choice there. You could do it in real time. I chose not to, just to get this thing going. We're getting long again. So I'm going to do the same for our passengers. Click the use load sheet data so it shows you what you're going to do. Going to instantly board and load. Okay, boom, they're in there. Flight crews dreamed that the people would just materialize like that in the plane. All right. Otherwise, if you click board load, it does it more realistically. And there you go, folks. You're ready to go. While we're here, let's get the final calculation done, and that is for our airport, what our runway length will be for takeoff. So we got a 9,000-foot runway. Airport elevation is 617, so let's set it at 600. Put it at 300. You can see we can't get specific. Now, I do know there is a slope on this runway. It's pretty significant, too. 0.7. Runway's dry, and the outside air temperature. Get back to Sim Toolkit. Correction. Sky Vector shows us at a whopping no. And now with 3039. Wow. Weather is a remarkable thing. Okay, finally, our winds at play here are 310 at 6. Okay, so again, make sure we've done this. Now, if we go flaps 10, this is the results. V1, 125, 131, 148. Need 2,000 feet of runway, leaving us quite a bit of runway to get off the ground. We'll go with it. We'll set our speed bugs. 2.9 is our stab trim. 17 for our initial pitch, and our optimum climb above 10,000 is 300 knots. I'll come back to it once we hit there. All right, folks, the plane is loaded, ready to go. All right. Let me do something first here. Let's go ahead, close the main door and everything up. Okay, as long as they're not green or yellow, they're good to, they are closed. So if they're white, they're closed. Okay. Come back over here if you don't believe me. Remember, these were zeroed, our reserve tanks. Now they have 3,700, almost 3,800 pounds of fuel. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So we're saying, and again, folks, if you're not sure of numbers, you can just go right here, right here. So I am a little unsure. Takeoff weight. Okay, I'll keep it. All right. So again, we're on ground power. To start, we need to be on, that's right, APU. Right up here, folks. To do that, I use the down arrow, just makes it go one notch. Waiting for the door light to go out. Then start. 3-second hold. Okay, now if you wanted to take this using the checklist and check your hertz and all, make sure you click the top half of the APU. Then you can just come down here and see the needles work. They are painstakingly gone through here, folks, to make this plane. I'm going to use an adage, as real as it gets. Okay, you can see we just came off ground power. We are now on internal power. And with the flip of the bleed air switch, packs are starting to head into the airplane. All right, I'm going to get this thing ready to go. And it automatically turns on the proper fuel pump to fuel the APU. No fuel, so I don't have to turn that one on. That being the center tank. And all right, I'm going to go ahead and start us down the road of checklists.
Before start checklist, please. Gear lever and lights. Down and check. Brakes. Parked. Start levers. Off. Radios. On and check. Flight control hydraulic power. On. INS. Check and nav. Compasses. Slaved. Window heat. On. Seatbelts and no smoking. On. Emergency lights. Armed. Exterior lights. Check. Flight instruments. Check. Altimeters and clocks. 1028. Set and cross-check. Radio INS switches. Radio. Radar and transponder. Standby. Indicator lights. Check. Engine and wing anti-ice. Off. Stall warning. Check. Mach airspeed warning. Check. Auto brakes. Check and off. Body gear steering. Arm. Anti-skid. On. Autopilot and flight director. Check and off. Takeoff warning. Check. Auto flight enunciators. Check. GPWS. Check. Instrument warning. Check. Flight director computer selectors. Check. Instrument source selectors. Normal. Reserve brake valve. Closed. Spoilers. Down. Static selectors. Normal. Oxygen mask and regulator. Check and emergency off. Brake pressure. Check. Stabilizer trim. Check and on. Rudder and aileron trim. Check. Checklist completed.
All right, I am going to do something real quick here.
Cockpit to ground. Disconnect ground power.
Just getting us off that, so all we have left are the chocks. Yes, the frame rates can get kind of hard, especially online
Ground
when
power
you're
disconnected.
with scenery and weather.
Battery. On. APU panel. Check. Auxiliary power. Check. Engine oil quantity. Check. Fuel quantity. 6,4,8,3,7 pounds. Fuel panel. Check and set. Pressurization controls. Check and set. Bleed controls. Check and set. Hydraulic quantity. Check. EPR computer. Wait.
All right. What we're talking about is this gauge right here. Now I'm going to keep it in takeoff dry. That's what TOD stands for on this gauge. Not top of descent. It's takeoff dry. They want it in go around. So here's how you get around that. Either check or skip.
Circuit breakers. Check. Indicator lights. Check. Electrical panel. Check and set. Air conditioning controls. Check and set. Fire control and wing overheat panels. Check and set. Equipment cooling. Check. Passenger oxygen. Check. Hydraulic panel. Check and set. Fuel jettison panel. Check. Crew oxygen. On. Oxygen mask and regulator. Check and emergency off. ADPs off. Checklist completed.
All right, next one after start. All right, so let's do it. Let's get our butts moving here. So back up front. Beacons are on. Let's get better pushback up here. Oh, by the way, you can reach the EPR butt here as well, so you don't have to, go down there. Better pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All right. Got the chocks on. Let's first pull the jetway. Now, once I see him squared up here, then I'll head up and shut the, remove the chocks. There he comes. Yep, they drive right through the buildings.
Cockpit to ground. Remove the chocks.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Chocks removed.
Okay. Now, folks, that's a normal start time FMS. SIVAs add about another 15 to 30 minutes to your pre-flight. That's part of where my problems with them lie. But it's minuscule. You're not out to, win a race in this plane.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
All right. So I'm going to start the timer over here. Brakes off.
Parking brake released.
Starting pushback. And you may start engines.
Another minor issue I have with the plane is once we get to Kansas City or a destination and I set the brakes here, we don't hear the first officer command it. If you're on a hill, it will start rolling unless you get your feet on the brakes or until you get the chocks in. Anyway, but that's not the main thing we're testing today. All right, here we go.
Ready to start the engines. Ready for engine start.
Okay, gotta turn on the starter valve in order to start this thing. You have two systems for starting on each engine. Theoretically, you can start two engines at a time. Let's just do one. And then we'll do three, then four, then one and two.
Starting engine 3.
Got to hold it
Starter
down
valve open.
till he says starter valve open. Now, the N2 that you're wanting to watch, if you're wanting to, remember, flight engineer is your friend here. He's watching it right there. And he'll tell you 20% N1 or N2.
%, and 2.
Fuel on, light up.
Starter off.
Didn't look like it went in. Oh, I guess it did. Okay.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Engine
Disconnecting
stabilized.
tow. Stand by.
Now, if you don't get engine stabilized, and I've done this many a times, folks. Thank you, Felis and team, for being nice and telling me, don't forget to check which one you started. I started X-Plane 11 in X-Plane 12. That aircraft, you're going to get that issue with it. So make sure you turn off previous, other versions so you don't see it.
Starting engine 4.
Starter valve open.
Okay. Again, you can see it over here, but again, the flight engineer's got it, folks. So, let him do his job.
Hose disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
And thanks for flying with Mike. They're better pushback.
20%, and 2.
Fuel on, light up.
And here's how you'll also see these may not be spooling up all the way.
Starter
But-
off.
Don't hear stabilized. You're probably in the wrong version.
Engine stabilized.
Okay, here we go. We're going to start up 2 engines at once.
Starting engine 1.
Starter valve open.
Okay.
Starting engine 2.
Starter valve open.
Now, you guys could probably be looking at me going, why would you want to do that? At most airports, they don't want you blocking, you're blocking these aircraft if they're in there from getting out. So they want you to start up as quickly as possible. Not every time you're going to be able to do both.
20%, and 2.
Okay, that was for engine 1.
Fuel on, light up.
Not every time you'll be able to do it, but when you can, they really appreciate it.
20%, and 2.
Fuel on,
Starter off.
light up.
Okay, so we're going to get 2 stabilized.
Starter off.
Okay, now we'll be looking for the word engine stabilized.
Engine stabilized.
Okay, there's one.
Engine stabilized.
There's two. Let's go ahead and close the start valve. Now, let's proceed back to the checklists. So we're making sure the flight recorder's on, the start switches are off, the beacon lights are on. Beacon lights are on. Brake pressure, start levers, and engine anti-ice if needed. Electric panel, pack valves, door lights, hydraulic panel. We want to do this first. So, I'm going to head up here. Going to get ahead of the game. Start levers are in the off position.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. On behalf of the entire crew, welcome aboard the Boeing 747 Classic. We will depart shortly after we have our clearance and the cabin crew is finished with their preparations. For now, I wish you a pleasant flight, and I will be back during the flight with further flight information.
Okay, let's get the electrical panel.
Cabin crew, arm slides.
Okay, now that we're on, where the engines are now powering up. Okay, why? There we go. We can now shut the bleed off. We're off the APU gen. You see the yellow warnings. Shut it down. Okay, we're completely on the engines. Again, you could have checked the generators down here and all of that. We're kind of pushed for a little time, so let's get going. All right, what else? Packs, doors, hydraulic panel. Okay, while we're here, let's go to auto. Close, and the record lights on. Packs are on. Fuel is on. Okay, let's run the checklist.
After start checklist.
Flight recorder.
On.
Start switches.
Off.
Beacon lights.
On.
Brake pressure.
Check.
Start levers.
Idle detent.
Engine anti-ice.
Off.
Electrical panel. Check. Pack valves. Open. Dual warning lights. Out. Hydraulic panel. Check. Flight recorder. On. After start checklist completed.
Just moving the flaps
10.
to 10. Takeoff, EPR, airspeed bug set, stabilizer trim. 2.7 if you remember, folks. Two parts to this we got to look at. Okay, now it's outside that green band, so all we do is move the switch forward. Now the green band, okay. Probe heat's on, flight controls. All right. This is a gauge I really love, and I wish FlyJ Sims would put this in their 727. Shows all of the axes. So you can see the needles moving. Want to make sure it centers. Then you want to check your rudder. Okay, what else? Yaw dampers, fuel heat is off, totalizer, engineer's panel set, aft cargo heat. And we'll get that turned on to normal, and we are ready for our taxi check.
Taxi checklist, please.
Flaps. Flaps 10.
Flaps 10.
Takeoff data, EPR and airspeed bugs.
Set and cross-check.
Stabilizer trim.
Set in green band.
Probe heat.
On.
Flight controls.
Check.
Yaw dampers.
Check.
Seat belts and shoulder harness.
Check.
APU. Off. Fuel heat. Off. Totalizer and gross weight. Set.
Parking brake released.
Flight engineer and pilot panels. Check. Aft cargo heat. Normal. Seat belts and shoulder harness. Check. Taxi checklist completed.
St. Louis ground. TWA 572 heavy, taxi to 29. Roger 29. TWA 572. Okay, we got one more checklist we'll do as we taxi.
All doors are closed and armed.
Okay, they can do that while we taxi. Okay, and as you can see up top, real quick, we're going to be using Charlie to Tango to get to 29. Okay, for takeoff, we're going to fly runway heading towards St. Louis VOR, and we're going to intercept the 229 radial off St. Louis. Head down Declare. I'll come inbound Declare on the 233 radial. 17.7 VIH for the identifier, and then we're going to go direct KRAZO. Speeds for today. V1 safety speed of 125, rotate 131, V2 148, estimating 2,000 feet of runway, and clean speed will be 221. Any questions? All right, icing considerations. When they're done, we'll get the cabin alert transponder. Let's get that set. TARA, radar on. And ignition to flight start. It's one of the few click spots on here, folks, but right here, either side will turn them on. Do the same thing, you can shut them off. And TWA 572 crossing runway 24. And TWA 572 is off 24 at Charlie, turning on to Tango.
Cabin crew, take your seats.
All right, let's call for the checklist. We already got the alert they were good. Ignition, body gear, we'll disarm on the runway. We'll hold here and get it done properly. Fuse pump, there we go.
Cabin ready.
All right, let's run it.
Before takeoff checklist.
Icing considerations.
Check.
Cabin alert.
Check.
Transponder.
Check.
Ignition.
Flight start.
Body gear steering.
Damn.
All right, we're going to let it hold right there, folks. And tower TWA 572 holding short Tango for 29. Roger tower, clear for takeoff, runway 29 at Tango, runway heading for TWA 572. I really do miss the days of TWA here. We'll never know this. I said this a couple days ago, folks. But what would the world be like today if TWA and Pan Am, arch enemies of each other, buried their hatchets, came together, and formed an airline? They both needed each other. What would it be like today? All right, let's get our final checks in. Disarm the body gear steering.
Disarm.
Back valves. This. Closed. Pressurization mode selector. Auto. Fuel boost pumps. On. Cross feed valves. Check. Before takeoff checklist completed.
Okay, after takeoff's the next one, which will actually be past 10,000 feet. Throttling up.
Stabilized. Thrust set.
80 knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate.
Gear
Gear
cut.
up. Gears up. Flaps 5.
All right, this is where I am going to call a direct clear.
10,000 to level off. Flaps 1.
And folks, be
Flaps
careful. You notice where flaps 1 and 0 is? You can look quickly at it, folks, and go, oh my, yeah, I left them down once, and at flaps 1, and of course damage occurred. Make sure it says flaps up. Okay, let's get the packs back on out in the back here.
$10,000.
All right, so now we're climbing to 300 knots for 28,000 feet. Once we get to that, then we'll switch back into IAS. Get up here, shut these lights off. All right, let's look at the checklist. So ignition's good, seatbelt's good, pack valves, fuel heat.
After takeoff checklist.
Gear lever.
Off.
Landing and logo lights.
Off.
Ignition.
Check.
Seatbelts and no smoking sign.
Check.
Pack valves. Open. Fuel heat. Auto. After takeoff checklist completed.
All right, the next checklist, folks, just so you know, is descent. All right, so you can see we're now heading to Claire. We're not completely on the 229. We're awful doggone close. Now, this departure, you can fly VOR. It's a conventional, it's not an RNAV. You could track off Fitchy to KRAZO. Not 100% sure about Tiger. Looks like Tiger could be flown that way too. Intercept it here in KRAZO, intercept Tiger off of Kansas City, and then fly. So, I mean, there you have it. So they're both excellent tools here. We're just flying over someone's outer marker. Possibly Spirit. All right, also just a quick tour of the plane. You do have the AV tab right here built in. I like to put it on maps and bring it out to about 8 or 9. And that way I can kind of see where we are, especially on the long hauls. Now, granted, when you get over the ocean, you know what? It looks the same 90% of the flight. It's blue for the water. So And there's transition. So I'm going to zoom in here so I can see better. Must be nice to be Mr. Felis and be able to see these numbers easily. Okay, those are good. And that one's good. All right, so on we go to flight level 280, and at about 25,000 feet or thereabouts, I'm going to turn the seatbelt sign off so the airline can make a little money off the passengers. And they can get up, use the restrooms as best they can in the 10 to 15 minutes they'll have from there to down. Actually, could be closer to a half hour, so we'll see. But I experienced that exact same things on American flying an old TWA route from St. Louis to Chicago. We passed probably 25,000 feet, maybe a little higher, a little lower. And the captain turned it off just for that reason, so they could make a little money off you. And you could get up, use the restroom. But it wasn't maybe 20 minutes. And again, he brought it back down under or that or around 20, 25,000. Kicked the light back on, and we were in our seats till we landed. You know, you got to do what you can on these short hauls, folks. This one has 331 people behind me, so it's a lot of people. Not a lot of bathrooms. We all know the rules. You can't cross that curtain. Oh my goodness, if you cross that curtain, you have committed a felony punishable by being thrown off the plane. Just kidding, folks. It seems like that by the way they sometimes enforce it. All right, so we're coming up on Claire, folks, at 23,000 for 28,000. Now's a good time to make sure you didn't forget. Make sure the switch is down and you see altitude select here. If not, you're going to blow right through it. It won't stop climbing. And then we're supposed to get her up to about Mach 85, but at 28,000 feet, we're going to be pretty fast. So I'll probably bring her up to about, well, we'll see, Mach 7880, somewhere in that park. And we'll go from there. Because 28,000 feet, you can do Mach 0.85. You're just going to be indicating somewhere in the ballpark of 330, 340, maybe even as high as 350. So, all right. Now, we have not turned the switch to INS, so we're getting ready to go 233 inbound to the 17.7. And we're right on track. And we get the heading bug in place. Now, I like to set the heading bug here, folks, on my heading. I don't know how many of you pay attention on VATSIM when people have FMS problems, they're saying. I don't know what it's doing. A lot of times what it's doing, folks, is they change the route after a particular fix, and I'm not going to get a specific thing up, but the plane's turning back to that fix or the start of that to start its run on whatever you've got. Usually it's a star. And then that's why you got it hooking back. But if you have it set to your heading, snap it to heading. So what if you're not on LNAV? You're already off course. It'll write itself back to that course that you're set. Now, are you on the course? No. Go through your FMS, find the fix that you're supposed to be going to, either direct or set it up to go direct, and let the plane then track back onto course. But that is the simplest way, folks, to alleviate that issue. All right, now we just leveled off. I'm letting us build up. I think I'm going to hold us right. Now let's see. We get this EPR up here. All right, we're going to hold it at 8.2. Look how fast we're going, folks. We're probably doing every bit of 320. So now it's time to set. Now we're also in cruise. I accidentally went to IAS, so it was slowing down to 300. And now we're more respectable. We'll be around 181, 82. And I need to get that seatbelt sign off.
Turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. However, we recommend to keep your seatbelt fastened while in your seat.
All right. So you can see we're going to oscillate between this. Now, our top of descent. Is 100 miles out. Okay. Which is going to put us right about KRAZO. So for 97 miles, folks, from Vichy over, we'll be at cruise. They'll be doing their serving and all of that good stuff. We're not holding, and I don't know why. But again, this is a very short flight. Most likely would have been flown non-rev. That's set 270. And as soon as we get about 5 to 10 miles off Vichy, we'll see how close to on course we are. And again, set your heading bug. All right, now let's get back here. Let's make sure everything's running smooth back here. Packs are on. That means they're breathing behind us. And we are. Everything looks good. The galleys are set. The fuel is good. And we're really ready to go here, folks. Now, one thing I was told, go to out hold. I don't understand the full dynamics behind that switch, but basically you could do whatever you want on this, and it's not going to affect it till you go to altitude select, or go up here to instead of pointing, or move your selector here to vertical speed and set your descent or climb, whichever you need in that case. All right, so we're holding. Now we got slow. All right, so there you have it, folks. All right, this is the point when we get ready. I'm going to get us started into our descent, And hopefully we'll get this marked in the video so I can give the Felis folks a good point of reference where to go in the video to look at this, because I'm about ready to start the descent. I might even wait till we turn final, and we'll see. So we got a good 30, what do we got? Instead of guessing, hang on. Put that overlay up there.
You love me! You really love me!
634, welcome in.
Spaceman
Your Pan Am
634
manager
just subscribed
is
for
feeling
27
really
months.
good, sir.
How's my favorite Pan Am manager?
Off stream, I'll run an idea by you, probably tomorrow when I'm at work, so you can think it over whenever. Got an idea. We'll see what you think. I'm pretty sure it's going to go nowhere, but hey, what they always say, if you don't ask, it won't happen, or have a chance at least at happening. But hey, thanks for the resubscribe there, sir. I sure appreciate it. And folks, if you're new to the stream, would love for you to smash that follow button so you can follow along. We would love to have you. Our next stream is Friday, coming out of Liberia, Costa Rica, for Miami, otherwise known as Miami, Florida. Hey, appreciate you popping in before you head to work. And we'll see what you think of this harebrained idea. We'll go that route with it. We'll really build it up. It'll probably go poof. Except it's not mind-blowing. It blew up inside of itself. So, you have a great night at work there, Spaceman. Thanks again for the resubscribe. We sure appreciate it. All right, folks, we are close to top of descent, and for the Felis folks, getting closer. Shows on the top 19 minutes. So with that, let's get in here and start our calculations. So first, let's go to landing perf. Hang on. Before we do that, let me see how close to top of descent we are. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, we got about 68 miles. Okay, just want to make sure we got time. All right, so I'm going to pull up Kansas City. Coming in 19. I did this once and I ended up using the wrong one. Be sure I set us up for 19 left. Yes. Okay. 19 left is 9,500 feet, folks. May not be able to read it up there. I'll kind of blow it up. There we go. Airfield altitude of 1,027 feet. We'll leave it at 1,000, and we're going to come in on a 190. Doesn't have to be spot on, folks, for these. Runway's dry. They're reporting currently a temperature of 4 degrees. Hey, put the Bermuda shorts on, folks. We're going to a tropical heat wave. Sad thing is, I get to work in this cold air tomorrow. Yippee-ki-yay. I think you know how the rest of that goes, folks. It's not a Christmas movie. That's 6. All right. Planning flaps 30. Yes. So our VREF is 147. We're going to probably come in at about 155, 157 for landing. As we hit the middle marker, punch it down to 147 to hit the mark. Okay. Let's get our numbers corrected because I didn't do the load sheet. There we go. 136 now for the VREF. Always make sure to click the load sheet, folks. Okay, so it's 136, plan 146 max, 150, between 150 and 146 for approach. Middle marker will pull back to land at hopefully 136. We have a choice. We'll go with medium brake setting, 5,800 feet of runway needed. Okay, as you can see, the descent approach should have probably been broken up into 2 segments because a lot of this, folks, actually occurs 10,000 feet or lower, starting about right here. Your exterior lights, they come on at 10,000 feet. You'll already have your auto brakes. It's a variation here, folks. So, but we'll run it. Don't worry. All right, so we are approaching KRAZO. At 43 miles out. All right, so what did we say? 12,000 feet at Tiger? Okay, so we'll come in at KRAZO. Tiger, 12,000 feet. Moray, still at 12,000. Oh, this is if you're landing south. Oh, disregard. Disregard. We're going to go to Moray before 12,000. And then slab, we just make sure we've slowed to 210 as we progress downwind to make the turn in for this runway here. Okay. Now, ILS for this runway is 109.55, heading 191. Once we hit slab, we go up to Torbay, Powell, Malper, UYUCU, Zitsut, These, Zappa, Jazza, and UMREW. All right. I'm going to go ahead and come off that and go on this. All right, folks, let's let it get ready. Let's see how we're set up here. Sure, no speed restriction there. Okay, slab, 210. All right. Go ahead and throw 16. 332. Now, if I would have thrown this switch, it would be telling me how far out I am. I'm 46 miles off the Springfield VOR. I'm going to go ahead and dial in 1325 on the other VOR. That will be Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. 315. All right. We're out of range right now, I believe. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, so we're about to hit KRAZO, and then we go to Tiger. Hope you're enjoying, folks. I sure am. We're about 10 minutes out from landing. Like I said, it's a short hop, nothing spectacular behind it. Just getting from St. Louis over to Kansas City. Now, what the heck, let's use the Queen. The rest of the planes can just sit on the ground. We took all the passengers for the week. I mean, for the day. It's a shame they might have wanted to go at different times during the day. But, you know, hey. All right, so let's set 12,000. Now, when I switch it down to altitude select, see, we're still kind of in that hold, it's climbing slightly. I'm going to switch into VS, and I'm going to go ahead and start our descent. And then I look at my VSI and see where we're at. Okay, go a little steeper. Let's go for about 23-ish, 2300 or so. Now, one thing I like about Felix that I wish, again, FJ Sims, I know you're working on it, that 727 for X-Plane 12. I love that the numbers are right here. Give me a ballpark where I am. Would love somehow for that to get into that aircraft and that gauge. Why do I harp on that gauge, folks? Because in the one that's with FlyJ Sims, you can't check your ailerons except by looking out the window. I'm sorry, looking out the plane. At least I can. You guys might be able to. This guy can't. And y'all know it's about me. I'm just kidding. It has nothing to do with me. I just figured everybody would kind of like that. But they really, like Felis, put a really good product out there, folks. All right, let's start thinking about this descent a little bit. Really not sure why it is wanting to throttle up. We are way above the speed. All right, I know another way. Hang on. Because it, whoop. Oh yeah, we can go to that. I just realized it's trying to maintain that Mach. That's on me, folks. I just realized what it was doing. Besides fighting. Do as I want. And if you didn't notice, folks, it tells you everything you need. See, you got altitude select. We're still on nav. INS nav, that is. And we're on speed on our EPR. Now, over here, our gauge tells us we're now in go-around mode. Basically, that's when we're landing. We want maximum thrust if I call go-around. I don't want it restrained with EPR settings. Okay, stand by. Let's make sure. All right. Our speed bugs are set. We're at 19,000, and I've totally forgotten what I said our altimeter is. 3036. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick look over here. Transition level. All right. Seat belts back on. All right, we're set. We're set. All right. Okay, I can already hear somebody out there going, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're not set for landing altitude. Yeah, I am actually. I'm set for a cabin altitude of 0. I mean, I could bring it up to 1,000, which is almost where we were at cruise. This is your altitude of the aircraft. This is your cabin altitude here, folks. So what it feels like in that tube air pressure wise. Technically, it's 1,000 feet above sea level. So I could set it for 1,000, or I could set it for 0. I'll set it for 1,000 because, you know, hypothetically, let's say we go into Bogota. It's 8,000 feet above sea level. If I set you to 0, you're going to get off the plane and go, you know, you're not going to really feel it right outright, but you will. So we'll set it to the altitude. All right, the one thing I do need to set is my minimums for this flight. We're coming in for a half mile, 18 at 200. So let me roll this back to 200. Actually, I'm going to set it there.
1,000 to level off.
Sure, I'm set on IAS. I am. All right. Now, we got to get up here to Moray before I start continuing my descent into the airfield. And we'll look at that here in a second. Well, we can do it right now. All right, so... Okay, so we're going to come over Tobre. 210. UYUCU, according to the number, 180. $3,200 feet from Zsut to Fees. And then 2,800 feet to Zappa. And then we're on the approach. Okay, Zappa, or Jazzy, is 2,700 feet. MSL, 1,700 feet. 05 actually, mandatory altitude on glide path. All right, folks. Looking down below our minimums again, 200 feet AGL, RVR of 18, or at least a half mile of visibility. Either of these not met. We don't have a category 1 or 2 on this approach. We'd have to start looking at the other approach to see if we can dump into a Cat 2 or Cat 3. If not, back to St. Louis we go. All right, there we go for the final approach course. Trick is coming up, then Moray, and then we start our descent to is 8. That does not affect us, nor that. We're on max 210, no altitude restrictions until here, which is 4,000 feet. Did I read that right? That's what we'll set. All right, and again, I'm going to go to altitude hold off. So I'm going to go ahead, dial in 4,000. All right.
Pull up.
Oops. Told you I'd do it at least once a flight. All right, seatbelts are on. Anti-ice not needed. Exterior lights in 2,000 feet. We can go ahead, get us set to medium on the brakes. Okay. And 27, what are we, 26? And Kansas City approach, TWA 572 heavies with you, level at 12,000, Moray. Roger, Kansas City approach, descend to 4,000, 210 at slab, TWA 572 heavy. Okay, so we'll do this. Speed brakes in, yes. Alright, radar. It's good for it. No, actually I need it up to. And Kansas City, here I come, straight ahead. Hawker 125. Welcome aboard, sir. Thank you so much for being a part of the Flying with Mike tonight surprise stream. And folks, if you get a chance, check him out when he's online. Maybe, yes, no, I don't know. Why is it not? Okay.
10,000.
Well, we'll go this way. We tried, we failed. There we go. Anyway, check him out, folks, when he's online. He has a Hawker 125 in his garage, fuselage, that he is converting into a flight simulator, not full motion, but check him out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run this. We'll do as much as we can. Fuel heat off. Need to slow the bird down first. Hang on. To 210. And according to this, yeah, we need to get the speed brakes out.
Approach checklist, please.
Seatbelts and shoulder harness.
Check.
Seatbelts and no smoking signs.
On.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Check.
Outer brakes.
Medium.
Radio INS switches.
Radio.
Flight director computer selectors.
Check.
Brake pressure.
Check.
Spoilers.
Hold on.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and check that, folks.
Altimeters.
1028. Set and cross-check.
Landing data, EPR and airspeed bugs.
Set and cross-check.
Seatbelts and shoulder harness. Check. Fuel panel. Check. Fuel heat. Off. EPR computer. Go around. Cabin altitude. Check. Circuit breakers. Check. Approach checklist completed.
All right.
Flaps 5.
Went ahead and set us to flaps 5. Did you notice I forgot something, folks? I started my descent, but I never put it into altitude select. So I would have kept descending through 4,000 feet up here. Hopefully catching it before alarms go off. So just to let you know, always make sure you see it here. Also went ahead and armed my spoilers. All right, bear with me. I'm going to put the ILS in 10955. Looking at 191. Okay, we are set up for the ILS. And here we are on the chart.
1000 level off.
And for the folks over at Felis, I am going to go ahead and pull the charts away. That way they can see everything going on here as I get ready to level off. Yes, a little early, which is always good, folks. You want to be ahead of the plane. So right now, the plane, my mind is thinking UYUCU at 4,000 feet. And ZSUT at 3,200 feet. So you want to be constantly doing that. Wait a minute. At this altitude again. Okay, I got myself down too early. However, we're supposed to be at 180. Good thing is we can let the plane do the work. That'll put us to flaps 10.
Cabin crew, prepare for landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for landing. Please fasten your seatbelt.
Okay, next one will be our landing checklist. Light start, anti-skid. We'll check our altimeter here in a second. Still 3036 as of 50 minutes ago. Now, I am going to leave the AT speed switch on. Gonna see how this works. Technically, when I turn that off, turn the autopilot off, I should be flying the plane. It throttles the whole 9 yards. Kind of shocked. Wanting to look at this side of the throttles. Nope. Looking for maybe a disconnect switch.
Cabin ready.
Okay, good news. 180, flaps 10.
Flaps 10.
Spoilers are in the armed position. Some of the stuff you're going to see here, folks, is for the Felis folks, because I'm going to start them from probably as I slowed to 180 and let it come all the way around so they can watch the whole, make sure I didn't forget something. Because I'm telling you, I'm almost positive this issue lies with that loose nut behind the wheel here. There's one issue right there. How did I not turn again? Holy mackerel. Did I have a discon? No. Ah, I did. Vectors. That's what okay, that got me there. Okay, that's on me. So let's plan direct. What is that? These? Yeah, we'll go fees. All right, so fees to Zappa 2,800 feet. Okay, we're gonna hold Buddy 6 to 10, 8,000. Okay, well. Okay, down to 2,800 feet. Okay, that one was on me, as I said earlier. I'm just going to go for the intercept, folks. Okay. Believe we're going to level off, but let's make sure. Arm up the glide slope. Okay, nav is green.
Localizer alive.
Okay, it's Zappa. We'll lower the landing gear. Okay, I believe I have the runway in sight. Okay, there's fees. I'm going to go ahead slow to 160.
Glide slope. 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 Glide slope.
Dive.
Glide slope. 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 Glide slope.
There it was, folks. I would have swore I was in altitude select. Obviously, I was not. So I'm going to hand fly this sucker in. Gear down, flaps 20.
Flaps 20. Flaps 25.
Okay.
Flaps 30.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be landing shortly. Please make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened.
Okay, I've decided to turn off the auto throttle.
500.
Sink rate. Sink rate.
Approaching minimums.
Sink rate.
Minimums. $50, $40, $30, $20, $10. Check reverse.
Okay, that time it worked. That time I think we may have got the fix.
Out, off, reverse. 60 knots. Auto brake off.
And welcome to Kansas City, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Not
our
sure if I set, I swore I saw auto out select set. Why we drifted down so low. Hallelujah, we didn't have to do a go-around. Yeah, we got automatic
Flaps up.
clearance to the gate, folks. We just didn't hear it. Ah, we got a little squirrely there. All right, let's just head right over here. Well, folks, we actually made it. No go-arounds. This was a good run. I'm still going to report to them what happened to me. They can review and tell me, yeah, you forgot this or forgot that. Because I would have swore I was in altitude select.
After landing checklist.
Brake pressure.
Check.
Body gear steering.
Arm.
Outer brakes.
Off.
Ignition.
Off.
Engine and wing anti-ice.
Off.
Radar and transponder.
Hold on. Stand by.
Flaps.
Up.
Spoilers.
Hold on. Down.
Stabilizer trim.
7 units.
Outflow valves. Open. Pressurization mode selector. Manual. Aft cargo heat. Wait. Off. APU. Check. Checklist completed.
All right. All right, let's see if this is fixed. It is not. All right, well, that's fine. Hey, the big problem appears to be...
Cockpit to ground. Put the chocks on.
Chocks are on.
Okay, chocks are on. Let's get over here, get the electrics on. I really hate this with my mouse sometimes. All right, folks, we're into blocks after all of that fun. All right, beacons off.
Cabin crew, disarm slides. cockpit to ground. Connect ground power.
Now the fun one, folks.
Ground power connected.
And we didn't drain our tanks, which shame on. Okay, and I'm just getting everything. All right, I think we're...
All right, secure cockpit checklist.
Brakes.
Damn.
Beacon lights.
Off.
INS.
Align.
Probe and window heat.
Off.
Back valves. Check. Fuel boost pumps. Wait. Off.
Really?
Reserve tank valves. Closed. Hydraulic panel. Check.
It's
Oxygen.
thorough.
Check. Flight recorder. Off.
Emergency lights.
Off.
Radar.
Hold on. Off.
INS. Off. Radio switches. Wait.
Check was completed.
All right, folks, we're here. Fun flight overall. One last step to do once the bridge is in place. And again, folks, if you want to deplane in real time and unload, it's right here. Or you can just go bloop and she's empty. And that's all I'm going to do for this. Usually I do let it deplane. But anyway, folks, welcome in. Let's do a quick recap. Everything's okay over here, sir. Bad attitude. Hope you had a good time. I heard you calling out dive. Look at that landing rate, though, folks. Woo. Wow. I'm not going to get that very often. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Let's pull up Sim Toolkit, do a quick refresh. To those at Felis watching this, first flight went well with the new pack in it. Hang on a second. I wish I knew where to go to find out which one it actually says I have. Pardon me here a second, folks. I know I've seen it, I just can't remember where I saw it. And I fly so many aircraft, who knows, it could very well be hiding right in plain sight and I'm not seeing it. Or I may just be thinking a different aircraft. But I am flying the latest version you have out there. I loaded it this morning. Hang on, I'll get it for you. And that latest version, that's tollless. That isn't going to help me. 1.2.5.3 that came out on the 16th. So I did load that this morning. Um, and yeah, I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to Sim Toolkit. All right, so let's finish the flight. There it is, folks. TWA 542, 50 feet a minute. Here's the route. We took the southern route to Kansas City. Yesterday, I flew up to about here, over to here, down, and actually landed north. It was also snowing there yesterday. All right, so total distance 205 miles, 13,000 kilograms of fuel, 1G on the landing, 50 feet a minute at 134. Folks, I believe that's right where I was supposed to be landing speed. Okay, landing report. Now we're going to be a little long. Yeah, a little long, but not much. 1,600 feet down a 9,500 foot runway. Not bad. 4 foot off the center line. Very not bad. And there's the numbers, folks. Here's where we aim visually. Also, airports are set up with their PAPIs or VASIs, that's your visual guidance, to land you on these very easy to spot pads coming in. Also, the ILS is geared to get you down on the ground in this area. So that's where the optimal landing is. However, from the blue dot back here, which obviously is not there in real life, but that threshold line all the way down to the last set of hashes here going forward down the runway, that's your landing zone. You'll go a little bit and then you'll start seeing hashes again. Now you might want to start getting concerned because that's starting to tell you the end of the runway is coming up if you're still scooting down there at a good speed. Which prior to today, every landing I was not slowing down at all. Reverse thrust wouldn't kick in, the auto brakes were still not engaged, and the spoilers were down. Today's landing, thumbs up. We'll try it again here real quick. I'll let you guys at Felis know when the next flight is. It won't be Friday. We're, like I said, flying Zebo from Liberia, Costa Rica to Miami, but we'll try to make it pretty quick and see if we can finally say it's fixed for me. Great flight though all around, folks. Great flight indeed. So, all right, again, there it is on the Sim Toolkit. Now, let's see if we can put the icing on the cake.
Cockpit to ground. Disconnect ground power.
Ground power disconnected.
Cockpit to ground. Remove the chocks.
Chocks removed.
Here we go. Might get a rewind. Wait, you know what? Bear with me a second, folks. Not sure if it would show me or not. No, it's not going to show. I was kind of hoping it'd show if I was in altitude select or not. Humber. All right, well, let's kind of kick it up forward. Reason I'm saying is because we drifted below the 2,800 foot that I had set. 2,900 actually. There's our runway. See? All right, let's see how it looked. Ooh, yeah, that was great. And see, that was my biggest fear. I was greasing landings and it wasn't triggering it. Wow. Really nice landing. Okay. See how it looked from the vantage point of the first officer. As you can tell, I do love when the replay works. Nice. We'll look at another camera here. How did Hawker 125 like it out the window? Fortunately, I don't have the other side. Oh, there was no wing flap. Huh. I didn't know the leading edge went in like that. Well, folks, that was a fun flight. I hope you all enjoyed it. Folks, join us Friday, as like I've said a couple of times here tonight, we'll be going from Liberia in Costa Rica up to Miami in the Zebo 737. But for now, folks, we're going to leave you as we taxi off the runway here. And I really hope you all have a great day tomorrow. I'll be at work, but overall, folks, it looks like my problem may have finally been fixed, and thank you so much to you guys at Felix. Or Felis, my bad, Felis. And folks, if you're interested in the 747 from Felis, here's a link to it. We're not flying for a VA tonight. We are just out. This was meant 100% short hop for Felis, so they could see what it's doing and what the guy in that left seat is doing wrong. So, I guess I did it right today. So, folks, I hope you have a great day tomorrow. If you're new to the channel, smash that follow button. Otherwise, thanks, Spaceman, for the resubscribe. 27 months. That is incredible. Thank you, sir. All right, folks. Well, we're going to go ahead and get this queen in the stall here and call it a night. God bless you all. We'll see you all Friday night. Have a great night. Again, folks, have a great night. We'll see you Friday. I'm going to turn this over to a good friend, dispatcher, and good pilot out there. Bad attitude. Great night. Good night to you all. God bless. We'll see you Friday.